Hello there, my name's Carolyn Doughty and I am going to be doing this little series of videos on making a cuddle baby from one of our kits, or obviously you can use any kit, anybody's kits, but these kits are, we do a little 14-inch head, as in it will make a 14-inch baby, and a 16-inch head to make a 16-inch baby, and we send the body out with the head. Now, so this is the 14-inch body, so this will make up, when it's finished, a little 14-inch cuddle baby. And obviously the 16, I know it doesn't look much at the moment. So what we will also be doing, which I haven't actually finished off yet, please ignore the state of my fingers and nails. I've got pigment all over them from doing the video about pigments yesterday. So what we're going to be doing is also doing hands and feet to go with the kits. This kind of thing, it'll have a proper flange on it, and it'll be in the hands and feet will be in a soft silicone, and the head is in a just Ecoflex 20, which is a firmer silicone, because obviously you don't need a very soft squishy head. So I've done, on the cuddle babies, I've done the heads in an Ecoflex, and also the flanges on all the limbs and the head are in a harder silicone, so the tie can grab hold of the flange really well, rather than it slipping out, which it would do if it was a softer silicone. Okay, so what I'm going to assume you know nothing about painting with silicone, because this is a sort of beginner's video, obviously for people who have been you know, painting with silicone previously, or who just enjoy watching the process. But I'm going to talk to you as if you don't really know that much about silicone, so please don't be offended if I seem to be talking down to you. That's basically what I'm doing. It's these kits have been made up to encourage people to use silicone who have maybe not used it before. Oh, don't know what happened there. So I'm going to be using the colours that I made up in my the video I did yesterday, which is about using either the sand colours or the alternative colours which I've made out of the silk pigments. So here are the colours here. I've put a little chart of the colours on the website, and there'll be some other information on the website about what you need and how you're going to be doing it. So if I forget anything in the video, I'll be adding it on the instructions on the website, which you'll be able to download hopefully. So I'll be doing hands and feet as well, and then I'm going to also be doing some little elf cuddle babies, elf or star babies, cuddle babies, which I'll be doing separately, and those I'll be doing with hands and feet as well, little elf hands and feet. But I'll talk about that when I do that video. So these are the cuddle babies that we've recently done. These two heads are sculpted by Bracken Taylor Green. Really, really sweet little babies. I've not opened the mouths on them. Obviously you can open the mouth, but as I say, as I've aimed it at beginners, I've not opened the mouth on these ones. So I'm just going to get on and get started. So what we need is I'm going to be using, all the products I'm using are easily available. The Psycho paint you can get from Smooth On. In the UK that's Bentley's. In America, Brick in the Yard, all the different Smooth On distributors. If you're not sure, go onto the Smooth On website, and it gives you a list of distributors in different states in America, and in obviously different places in the UK or in Europe or wherever. So I'm going to be using sponges. Now you have to be really, really careful with these cosmetic sponges. You have to make sure that they are latex free. and latex free doesn't always do it. Sometimes you buy latex free sponges and you find when they arrive that they still are not suitable for silicone painting. The best way to find out is to mix up some Psycho paint, paint it onto the sponge and wait for it to cure. If it doesn't cure, then don't use them. Platinum silicone that the heads are poured in, and most silicone babies are poured in, is very, very sensitive to latex and other things as well, but particularly latex. And if you use a latex sponge to paint your baby, or a sponge that's got something in it that is a problem, then it will inhibit the cure. In other words, the paint on the baby won't cure. So I'm using these sponges. I've tested them. They're from Amazon. They said latex free, but I have bought so many sponges that say latex free. If you live in the UK, I can post a link to which sponges are okay. If you're in elsewhere, you'll just have to test them out. Get ones that say latex free and just test them out. There are some reborn stockists who do sell silicone safe sponges, so by all means try that. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to make a mottling sponge. So I'm going to pull out random bits in the sponge like this to give a kind of honeycomb effect, I suppose it is, or like a kind of, well, I don't know what you call it. The edges I'm just taking off because I don't want straight edges on this. You're gonna pounce this, well, place this on your head, on the skin, in a kind of like you're doing potato prints, really. That's what it looks like. And as I say, I've taken the edges off a little bit so that we don't get any straight edges. Right, so that's the sponge I'm going to use first of all. I'll probably make a few of these as time goes on. I'm going to use for my pots, I'm going to use these little pots. Now these are, you can get them on Amazon. They're just little, I think they're sauce pots. You know, people get them for putting little bits of tomato ketchup in at a restaurant. Not at a real restaurant, but the type of restaurants I often go to, you know, the in places like Pizza Hut and things like that. You get these little sauce pots, and you can buy them on Amazon, and they're quite cheap. They usually come with a little lid, but I usually just cut the lid off. Sometimes you can use the lids for other things, you know, for mixing silicone or whatever. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of Psycho paint in A. Now I decant my Psycho paint into these squeezy bottles because I find it easier to control tiny amounts. But what we're actually using is Smooth On's Psycho paint, which comes like that, and it's in sort of little half-pint bottles or different sizes, and it comes as A and B. And we mix A and B together. And as soon as it's mixed together, it starts to cure. But you do have a good amount of time to use it before it starts to cure. Probably about an hour or so, probably longer if you're adding solvents. I'm just using lolly sticks, which again you can get off Amazon, to mix it. And I'm going to go and get something from the other room, which I just realised I've left in the bathroom. Goodness knows how or why I had solvent in the bathroom, but it is. I noticed it this morning. So the thinner we use is, I'm using Bob Ross thinner. You can use Novox gloss, which is great as well. Well, obviously it's made for silicone, but it is expensive. So I used Bob Ross thinner, which comes in bottles, or it just nearly went flying then, or that kind of thing. I get that for thinning my paints and also for washing my brushes. Right, I'm just going to go and get my my thinner. Hang on. Right, this is what I strangely left on the bathroom windowsill. Goodness knows why. So I've mixed the the little A and B that I put in, I'm just going to add quite a bit of thinner. I'm going to add about 2/3 thinner to 1/3 Psycho paint. And mix it round, and it goes really quite dilute. But it has got the Psycho paint in there, which you need obviously, which is the paint base. Right, the colour I'm going to use first is the colour called Blood. And you know, if I actually had I've given them all numbers, and I've forgotten to actually print out the list of what colours they are, so I'm going to go and do that now. Okay, that was fun, trying to get the printers to stop. I don't know how many it thought it was printing out, but it was more than one. It's already printed 5. So these are my alternative colours for the Sam colours, because we're having difficulty getting hold of Sam at the moment, Sam colours. I've mixed the colours using Silk Pig, and this you'll find on my website as well. So the first colour I'm going to use is Blood, number 3, and this is used instead of Crimson Oxide. So if you're using the Sam colours, it's Crimson Oxide that you'll be using now. Right, did I say 3? Yes, I did. So I'm going to put some of number 3 in. So I've mixed up all these colours beforehand, and I've got them ready mixed, but you don't have to do this, you can do it as you go along. If I could find the cocktail sticks, this would be really good. If I should over here. Right. So I'm just going to pick up some colour with the cocktail stick and add it to this mix. Can you see what I'm doing? Right. Mixing it in. So basically I just took a cocktail stick end of it and just mixing a little bit in. Mixing with the lolly stick. Right, I'm just going to test whether or not that's the right amount of paint in, because I'm going to pop my sponge in and try it out on a piece of kitchen towel. Yeah, that looks right. So as you print it, I've obviously got a bit of pigment there, it's not mixed in. As you print it on your kitchen towel, you'll see the mottling effect of it. Okay, you don't want it any darker than that. I'm just going to mix in that little blob of red that I keep seeing. That's just basically pigment that's not been mixed in. Try it again. Get rid of the excess, and then yeah, that's right. That's about right. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to mix it in, dip it in the colour, blob off the excess, and then just print it over the whole of the head for some background colour, base colour. Oops. So as I print it, it's giving that mottled, apart from the bit where I went wrong. I don't know if you can see that, what's happening. So I'm just starting with the back of the head because it's not going to be as noticeable if I go wrong. So if you do go wrong, you can easily wipe it off before it cures using solvent and start again. Then once this layer is cured, when you do the next layer, you can obviously correct that with solvent as well. But once it's cured, then it's really difficult to get the colour off, you're getting into a mess then. You can get it off with sandpaper, but then you take all the layers off, right back to the basic poor colour really, and it's a devil of a job. Right, I'm just going to pop this over the face. I'm not going to worry too much about the mottling effect over the face, so I'm going to overlap the mottling a little bit just to get a bit of blush on the little face. She's such a sweetie, this one. She's such a sweet little doll. So this is Bracken Green's sculpt. I've called her Melody, and we are producing this baby. So we bought the sculpt with the rights to reproduce it. So I'm producing it as a cuddle baby at the moment. I may go on to producing it as a full-bodied silicone later on. See how we go. Right, so basically that's what we're getting. Just a kind of fairly mottled all over effect. So I'm going to put that down and do the other head. I'm going to be doing them both. Whoops. Just lean that against there. While I'm doing it, I'll just reload. So this baby, again, it's sculpted by Bracken, and we bought the sculpt with rights to reproduce it. Again, just test the, just blot off the excess. There we are. And this one we've called Kato. No real reason except that it seemed like a good thing to do at the time. I'm moving away a little bit from giving baby names, real baby names, you know, sort of traditional ones, to my sculpts, because I'd like people to know it's my sculpt when they say the name. You know, if they say, oh, it's the Emily sculpt, well, that, you know, there could be loads of different sculptors making an Emily kit, but I bet there's not that many kits out there called Kato. There might be a few Melodies, I suppose, but you know, we'll see. Don't drop it on the floor. Obviously you can put it on a turntable and do it sort of standing up, or you can put it on a spike just to keep it steady if you prefer working on the table. But there's nothing wrong with picking it up and turning it around in your hands like you would with a vinyl kit. And there she is. I think this one looks more like a boy and the other one looks like a girl, but you can't really tell at this stage anyway, can you? So this is a different technique to the one I've used for other babies, just to show you that, you know, you don't always have to use the same technique. You can change, you can chop, you can change, pick up ideas from other people. Nothing wrong with that at all. There he is, he or she. Let's say that he's going to be a he and she's going to be a she. So I'm going to make him into a boy and her into a girl. And I'll probably change my mind at some point along the line. Right, I'm going to just take the excess off the sponge, just squeeze it into kitchen towel, and that'll be fine to use again with another colour or whatever. So I'm going to put the lid on this and I'm going to change to a different colour, But what I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm going to fast cure these heads. Some people do, some people don't. I do, because I haven't got 4 hours to wait in between each layer, and it doesn't do any harm to them at all. So I'm going to get, you can use a hairbrush, you can use a blower, you can use whatever you like. You can use a hobby blower thing, you know, those oh, I'll have to get one to show you at some point. You know, the little ones that they use for stamping, and it raises the emboss thing. Hobby air blower, hairdryer, or you can use something a bit more professional. So I'm gonna go away and do that, and then I'll come back to you when it's cured. It only takes 5 minutes or so to do. That one's going to fall over if I'm not careful. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Right, those have had a blast with the hot air, and they're cured now. So the next colour I'm going to do, again, I'm just going over doing a general coverage of a background colour, is what would be the cool red on the sand paints, which is this one, number 7. It's the red on the Silk Pig pigments with a touch of blood in it, just to tone it down slightly, and I use that instead of the cool red. So it's number 7 in my pots, and I'm going to use a new little mixing pot or sauce pot. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah. Psycho Paint A, just a little bit. Psycho Paint B, teeny bit. Mix, 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 mix. And then add solvent. Again, I use Bob Ross thinner. There's a few different alternatives. As I say, Sam products used to do a odourless solvent, which was very good. But as I say, I'm not too sure where you can get Sam products from moving forward. So I use Bob Ross thinners. You can get those off Amazon. You can get it from most art stores. A little bit more solvent. If you don't put enough solvent in, you'll find that the paint is too thick and gloopy, thick as you apply it, and it won't apply it in that nice mottling effect. This is slightly different to the other videos I've done. It's just giving you a different way of working, really. It's more like the way we would have painted our vinyl kits, which I don't do vinyl anymore, but you know, obviously most of us start out, an awful lot of us start out painting vinyl, and then move on to silicone. So this is why I'm putting gloves on now. Right, so I'm just going to pick up with a cocktail stick some of this nice red, number 7, which is either cool red in the Sam colours, or the Silk Pig red with a touch of blood in it. This makes quite a cool red. It's quite pinky, so we need to just give it a very light mottling over more or less the whole of the head. Again, in the same way, all I'm doing is building up base colours, really, for you to work on top of. Right, put a teeny bit more solvent in here. So it needs to be really quite thin, and where you can't really tell it's got that much Psycho paint in it. As I say, I would say 3 parts of solvent to 1 part, or 2 parts solvent to 1 part Psycho paint, or even 3 to 1, depending how it feels when you do it. Right, I'm going to test this out on a kitchen roll. There we are. It's quite a nice pinky colour. Not a very not a very good obvious flesh colour, but when all these colours come together, they'll give a nice flesh colour. I'll start with what's his name, Kato. Very lightly dab all over, making sure there are you're not leaving any marks behind where the sponge has touched the skin. It doesn't have to be overlapping each other, it can be fairly random. If you feel that it's too much in one area, it's going to be too much for one area, you can do less in that area. But generally we're covering the whole of the head. But whereas with the first colour I was going with the first colour I was sort of like doing it up to each other like that kind of thing, where it was a full coverage. With this I'm doing it a lot more random, more like that really, as long as it looks natural. As I say, it's very, very light, so it's not it's not going to be that obvious, but it just lifts the colour teeny bit. Just all over, and then dab it off. Make sure there's no puddles or build up of any colour in any place. And what you'll find is that the creases are still quite a light colour, because obviously your sponge doesn't go into the creases. That's okay for the moment. So you can see the slight change in the colour there. A little bit more pinky and perky. Who remembers Pinky and Perky? I used to hate them actually, Pinky and Perky. Probably half of you haven't got a clue what I'm on about. I'm very, very old, you see. I feel it some days. I couldn't believe it. This year I was 60. And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe it. I just feel, it's funny, isn't it, how you reach these numbers and they're just a number. You just feel the same inside. I wanted to say actually, when I put my painting video on last night, I got a few people saying, "Oh, I'm glad you're back," and that. I'm so so touched by people saying things like that. It's really nice, because you feel very alone when you're out here doing videos, and yeah, you get loads of really nice comments and everything, but you don't think for 1 minute that people are really noticing what you're putting up at any one time or anything, you know. I'm just going to get a blank one and just dab off anything extra, any excess. This is just an ordinary dry one. Any extras, I don't want any obvious lines or puddling or anything at this stage. Yeah, it's so lovely that people who obviously follow me, you know, are sitting there really pleased to see a new video coming up, and I just like, why? Why are you listening to my rubbish? Right, okay, there they are. They're looking quite pink at the moment, but that's okay, it will tone down, don't worry. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to fast cure that and come back, and we will add another layer of mottling. As I say, this is going to be kind of similar to how you would do a vinyl kit. I'm kind of thinking, well, a lot of people have used vinyl, but they haven't used silicone before, so let's do a little bit similar, so that it doesn't feel as strange as it might do working with a different medium. Okay, shut up, Carolyn, and go and fast cure these, which I will do. Right, so that's them cured. Right, the third mottling colour I'm going to use is the equivalent of the red oxide, which is that one, which I've made up as being blood and some yellow in with it, which I've called number 2, which is this one, which hopefully, as I say, I've already pre-mixed these colours to save a bit of time in the videos. Right, so I'm going to just put some Psycho paint in. You can actually see this now. Blob. Blob. I do this by the eye, the Psycho paint, because it's such a small quantity. I don't think you can really weigh out that sort of quantity. If you're really nervous about it, what you could do is do it with a little syringe, fill a syringe driver with Psycho paint A and Psycho paint B, and then you can put out a measured amount. But I've been painting long enough to be able to control, but you can control it pretty well with these bottles. If you're not using one of these bottles, you can basically just spoon it out of the big thing with your lolly stick, but I just prefer to use the bottles, really. Right, I've put some of the colour into the Psycho paint, and I'm now going to add the solvent. Again, probably 2 parts solvent to one part Psycho paint, but it does have to be thin enough that you can hardly tell that there's any Psycho paint in it. So if I'm going to say consistency, I'm going to say consistency of semi-skimmed milk, or skimmed milk even. It needs to be really thin. Right, test this on a piece of kitchen towel. It may not have enough pigment in it, I'm not sure. Again, I'm going to get rid of the excess on my mottling sponge and reuse it. As long as I can get rid of the excess and it's not sort of cured on the sponge and made it go hard, then I'm okay using it again. Yeah. So as you can see, that's made quite a nice, almost yellowy red, almost orangey, salmon-y colour, which is what I want. Right. Right, start on this one. It's difficult to see now where I'm actually applying this new colour, but it all adds up. Actually, I think I'm just going to add a teeny bit more pigment to that. Just a teeny bit. This is where I get it all over my fingers. If you can hear a cat meowing, my cat wants to come in and join us, but he's not allowed in at the moment. There, just a teeny bit stronger pigment. There. Can't really tell the difference on the paper towel, but yeah, happy with that. There we are. Can't really tell the difference side by side, I don't think. Oh, yes, you can. Excuse me. You can, I think. Right, okay, and we are going to give it a little bit of a fast cure again. Okay, I'm going to fast cure those. Right, the colour we're going to apply next is blue. So I'm going to put a little bit of Psycho paint in, A and B. And mix it together. I can find a stick that's not been used. There we are. Mix it together, mix, 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 mix. Now the blue colour that we mixed together using the Silk Pig was a mixture of blue and green to make a kind of cyan, similar to the cyan in the Sam colours. So I'm going to use that. So it's blue with a teeny bit of green in it. I'm going to, now blue is a very, very powerful colour, and it stains, a bit like if you've used vinyl, a bit like on vinyl, you don't want to use too much blue. So I've actually probably put too much in here. Yeah, I have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix it again. No harm done. Right. A and B. Mix, 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 and even tinier, little bit of the blue-green mix. It's very, very powerful, this colour. And dilute it with solvent. So I'm going to do a teeny bit of all over mottling of this, very randomly, not absolutely everywhere, but just randomly, and just gives it a little bit of a lift, because there is some blue in our we're not talking about veins now, we're talking about in our colouring. If you look at the inside of your arm, you will see there's some blue there. You can't see where it is really. I mean, if you obviously there's my vein going through my arm, but there is blue. There's a background bluish tinge in quite a lot of your flesh colours, and particularly in the head, because obviously you have a blood supply going through your head, between your skin and your skull, and there's not a lot of flesh there. So there is quite a bit of blue in our flesh, but not so much that you can actually pinpoint it. Right, I've got my mottling sponge again, and I've done it very light, and I've done it very thin, and I'm going to just test it out on the paper. There we are. You can hardly see it. You can hardly see it, and that's what I'm after. So I'm going to apply it just randomly over the head. Just randomly. Make sure there's nothing left. No marks, no puddles of blue. Just randomly over the head, some parts more than others, and again just very, very lightly over the face. Probably too much. Oops. Take it off with this sponge. All you want is a hint of it, so you can't even see it, but you know it's there. Don't let it form in the, don't let any of these colours form in the creases. There we are. That's all I'm adding really at this stage of the blue. Just very random over the back of the head, over the face, so you don't even know it's there. If you can see blue, then it's too dark. If you can see it, it's too much. It just blends in, gives and adds to that overall realistic flesh look. And with the little one as well. very random. There we are. And pick up any blobs, puddles, lines that have occurred. You don't want to know where these colours start and finish. There we are. Okay. Right, I'm going to cure that, and then we're going to add blue for veining and slight undertones. So I'm going to go and cure that now.